pushes the divisional round game against the Broncos into overtime thanks to a 50-yard field goal. An interception and costly penalties on the final two drives turned into a Broncos field goal, ending the race for Buffalo. Broncos beat the Bills 33-30. Welcome into Bills Postgame Live. He's Bills Hall of Famer Steve Tasker. I'm Maddy Glab. Buffalo had too many missed opportunities. The Bills had 5 turnovers to Denver's 1. Not a winning recipe, Steve.
No, and on a game like this, we all know you got to play well on the day you play it. And it looked like the Bills were going to get away with it for a hot minute coming down the stretch. Even -4 on the turnover ratio. They come back, take the lead in the second half, get it to overtime, in fact, as well, after Denver goes down, makes a touchdown drive of their own. But they just didn't play well enough. This is one of the few playoff games where the team didn't play as well as we'd seen it play leading into this, and it cost them a chance to go to the championship game.
Drive stalled early due to those turnovers, so Buffalo's offense really couldn't get into a rhythm until the second half of the game when they took that 1-point lead and then were able to send it to overtime. Not enough, though, for the Bills to get the win. Their season ends at the divisional round. Bills quarterback Josh Allen is on the podium talking to media right now.
How hard is it to just get here again and have this happen?
It's extremely difficult. I feel like I let my teammates down tonight.
Your emotions normally aren't this emotional for us. Is what has brought this on?
Just missed opportunities throughout the game. It's been a long season. I hate how it ended, and it's going to stick with me for a long time.
I think it ended up being 5 turnovers overall. I know it just happened, but can you kind of take us into why it felt like you guys kind of kept shooting?
Yeah, can't win with 5 turnovers. I fumbled twice, threw 2 picks. When you shoot yourself in the foot like that, you don't deserve to win football games.
Josh, having said that, does it add the frustration, kind of the way the game ended with a couple of questionable calls?
Yeah, I mean, losing that way regardless, losing in the playoffs is not fun. So.
Did you get an explanation on the Brandon Cooks play at the end?
No.
Can you process how the team was able to stay in the game all the way to that catch or interception play in overtime despite all the adversity?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's, again, we were battle tested all year. Down 2 scores at halftime. Come out, sack, fumble, hold them to 3. Find ourselves leading that game. And if 1 or 2 plays go our way, it's a different story.
Josh, the play at the end of the first half, you had 16 seconds, no timeouts. Why not just take a knee there and go into the half?
Just trying to be aggressive. Can't do that.
Josh, what did you say to your teammates after the game?
I haven't been doing a lot of talking other than I love my teammates and I'm extremely sorry. I'm disappointed in how this ended.
Josh, you mentioned this has been a long year. Is there anything in particular that's sticking out to you about this season?
Not at the moment. Thank you, guys.
Oh, you can see how much Josh Allen is feeling that loss with those tears in his eyes, saying that he feels like he let his teammates down, saying it was a long season and he hates how it was ended. Josh Allen had an uncharacteristic performance in this game. In the playoffs, Allen has usually been so stealth. Going into this game, he went 6 playoff games without a turnover. In this game, has 4 turnovers, says he was just trying to be aggressive. Steve, what do you make of this performance that we really haven't seen from the quarterback?
Well, I think early on, I think the James Cook fumble early on and the fact that the Broncos got some points out of it, took the ball back down, they took the lead, and you're getting close to halftime. They drove the football down, took some points, and then I think it felt, particularly when also he made a throw earlier in the game, Keon Coleman in the back of the end zone. Keon dropped it, and there was a holding penalty. So it was a holding penalty. on a drop touchdown pass and a fumble by James Cook, and it probably felt like, I'm out here by myself. I got to do this, right? So we kind of turned it up a notch, and we saw that a little bit in the second half and even in overtime where it felt like Josh was trying the side lateral that actually James Cook actually picked up for no gain, but he fell and slipped and couldn't find his feet. All these plays speak to you about the fact that Josh really felt like he really had to do it himself tonight because the team was not playing sharp. Defensively, they turned it up 2 notches in the second half. You got to give kudos to those guys. They played extremely well. But in the first half, the Bills, they just would not put the shovel down, and they just kept digging themselves a deeper and deeper hole, and ultimately it was too much to come out of. You take these plays in the first half, this one, 22 seconds left at the end of it, or 5 seconds left at the end of it, it gave them 3 points. That changes absolutely everything for the remainder of this game. And, the Bills couldn't overcome it.
There were a few momentum killers in this game, and that one that you speak of that allowed a Broncos field goal as you go into halftime was one of those. You speak about Josh Allen playing that aggressive style football because early on feeling like I have to make it happen because it hasn't happened yet. Denver's pass rush is known for breathing down a quarterback's neck. They are so good at getting after the passer, led the NFL with 68 sacks this year. How did that pass rush affect Allen and what the offense was trying to do
He
tonight?
took a couple of sacks, no question about it, and they were pressuring him, but I think they affected his ability to throw the ball accurately. You saw right at the end of regulation, he just missed Dawson Knox for a touchdown on a flag route. And if he'd have had a little bit more of a cleaner pocket, he might have been able to deliver that. You see this right after halftime when he came out and got hit in the back. Defense did a nice job holding them to 3 points. But this Denver defense is for real. It's fast. Buffalo did have some success rushing the football. James Cook with 117 yards, long of 24. They were snapping off 10-yard runs in the first half. Really productive day that way, and the offensive numbers would reflect a game where you score 30 points. But you turned it over 4 times. 5 times. 5 times, and you still score 30 points. You never punt in the entire game. Yeah, it's you. It's not them, it's you. Even if you've got a better team. And I think there'll be some Bills fans who will think, we had the better team, but we could not win because our guys could not get it done. This is a team that didn't play as well as we have seen them play most of the season. I've been maybe the Miami game hurt here and there, but this is a team that has played very well, particularly down the stretch here at the end of the season, and did not play up to that level.
Down 13 in the third quarter, Buffalo found a way to get it to overtime, but didn't do enough in those couple of drives they were given in overtime to score and take the lead and end things. Buffalo walking home after this one, feeling like they could have done a few more things.
Josh was emotional after the game. Everybody says, well, your big window was like in 2021 on the 13-second game. You really had a guy. Your best chance to go and win it is this one. Always this one. Yeah. It's the next one that's your best chance. This was a great chance for Buffalo to do it. Their roster, even though I would say their roster wasn't as good as it's been in the past, this was their chance. This was a great opportunity to go in and do this. This also speaks to how important home field is. That really helped a Denver Bronco team play well defensively against this offense. The Bills still scored 30 points, turning it over 5 times. They hung 30 points on this defense. Number 2 rushing defense in the league, number 5 pass defense in the league, and the Bills hung 30 points on them and turned it over 5 times. They never punted. That's how good the Bills are. But you got to play well on that day.
Yeah, the Broncos are allowing just 18 points per game. The Bills score 30 in this one. They outgained the Broncos offense by 100 yards and held the ball for 10 minutes longer, but it really comes down to those turnovers. 5-1. They lose that battle going -4. You hear Bills players and football players at large speak about how important it is to value the football and why it comes down to forcing those takeaways and taking care of the football as reasons why teams win a game. In this one, It definitely was a huge factor. Dion Dawkins in the locker room right now. Let's hear what he had to say.
You know, I wish I could point fingers, man, and get a couple calls back. You know, I can't wait to see the film and what really happened with some of them plays. But, hey.
Some of us just talking about action there. What did he say to you guys, and what are you saying about
We love you. Simply, I hate to keep it short, but we love you. You know, we're thankful for him.
He said he feels like he let you guys down. How do you react when your quarterback who's done so much for you says that to you guys?
He let us down.
Wow, Dion Dawkins feeling that loss as well. Was asked about Josh Allen saying he let the team down, and Dawkins just overcome with emotion right there. It's really tough to see this team in the locker room feeling this way after what was a battle-tested season. They had been in so many games this year where they were down in the second half, down in the fourth quarter, and found a way to come back and win the game. In this one, Buffalo did enough to get to overtime, but not enough to fight back and win it all.
There have been, obviously, and Bills fans will be very familiar with the losses that have happened over the past 5 or 6 years. The 13-second game, the Cincinnati game here in Buffalo, the Chiefs games down in Kansas City, the overtime game in Kansas City. There's been game after game. Bills fans are very well versed in it. They've had to watch and endure it. This one's a little different because it feels like it was the players' fault. It feels like the Bills didn't play well enough to win. That's disappointing for the players. You can tell it's a different level of disappointment. In the Chiefs games over in Kansas City, and the other time, you play well and you lose. You get it. I mean, that's the way of the league. Even, a bad fourth down spot in the officials in Kansas City, the 13-second game, they changed the overtime rules because of what happened. The whole thing. This feels different for players, at least in my view, in my opinion. The losses I've been a part of, and I've been a part of some big ones, you look at yourself and say, man, we just didn't play well enough. And it shocks you, and it's sad. And you can read it on their faces and their emotions. This is one that they got to hang on themselves, and that's hard to take.
Yeah, it is hard to take because you felt that this team, even with the injuries that they were dealing with heading into a game like this, you just felt like this team had been through enough all season to grit out a win, no matter how much it took out of them, no matter if it took everybody on the roster, no matter if it took throwing the ball to 11 different players. You thought that there would be enough out there to string together a victory, but those turnovers really stalled Buffalo from doing anything on offense. They still find a way to score 30 points, which is incredible with 5 turnovers, and the defense at times really helped bail them out by forcing punts. And in overtime, to start overtime, Buffalo's defense forces a 4-and-out and gives the ball back to the offense. Unfortunately, the offense's drive ends in an interception, and the Broncos get a chance, and a couple penalties really derail that drive.
Yeah, the interception is making its rounds on social media, and it happened so fast. I believe it's Cooks.
Yeah, it was Cooks.
Got tangled up with the defensive back. Cooks got it, got his hands on it, went to the ground, and his knees hit and everything, and the defender was reaching in to where Cooks had the ball tucked away, seemingly tucked away. They rolled over, and the defender wrenched it away from him after Cooks was already on the ground. And a lot of Bills fans will say, why is that not a catch? He goes down, he's on the ground very quickly, and the defensive, now the ball never hits the ground, but when the ball comes down and when his knee hits, that's a catch and he's down. Doesn't matter what happens after that. They gave that as an interception, and that's hard to take as a Bills fan. But that's one of the calls they got. Then there were 2 pass interference calls later on in the ensuing drive that put the Denver Broncos down for just what was less than an extra point to win it.
Didn't call pass interference all game.
Yeah, and they didn't call pass interference on that particular play there either. So Bills fans will be bitter about that. I don't think the players are going to go down that road. I think that's a rabbit hole you can always go down for any loss, any win. Yeah. The Bills turned it over 5 times.
Yeah.
That's the story of the game.
That is the story of the game. More players in the locker room. Let's get over to Tre'Davious White.
On top of him, I just think that the crowd probably played a big time factor in it, and also I just think that it should be up to the players to decide the game, man. With a game that's fought so hard, come down to the wire, plays like that. I mean, there's a professional bang play. As a defensive back, man, that's what you want. Take the guy to the ground and finish the play. And referees, they just don't know ball, man. I just think that, whenever a guy don't look back for the ball, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which you don't have to when you're out of phase, which I was out of phase and I caught back up with the guy and played through his hands. Once the ball got there, I didn't touch him before the ball got there. I feel like I finished through the pocket like I'm coached to do. That's what it was, and I just think that they just had bad judgment on their play.
You've been here for a lot of these heartbreaking losses. How tough is this one to swallow? I mean, they're all tough, but...
Yeah, this one hurt bad because we just fought so hard as a team. Battled through adversity on the road, hostile environment, and we didn't blink. And I just felt like we deserved it, man.
Thanks, Trey. Thank you, Trey.
Thanks, Trey. White saying that they feel like they deserve to win, just battling through adversity is what he said. Denver did a really good job of taking advantage of small opportunities that they got. Cam Lewis goes out of the game for a couple of plays due to cramping at the end of the first half, eventually comes back in. But as soon as Darnell Savage walks into the game, the Broncos target Darnell Savage. The same thing happened when White came off of the field for one play. They target Dane Jackson, and it goes for a touchdown.
Yeah, those are the 2 second-half touchdowns they got. And that's what happens when you're stretched painfully thin in the back end with injuries. The two reserve, Savage hadn't played it down a safety, as far as I know, a meaningful snap all season. And since he got here, he got in for one play. Sean Payton, head coach, play caller for the offense, sees it and called a play back off his backside and ran it to perfection. Did the same thing. As soon as Trey White walked off the field and they put Dane Jackson on, they went right at Dane Jackson, and it was a touchdown. 2 quick injuries, 2 quick touchdowns. Those were the only successful plays they had in the entire second half, except for the penalties they got late from Buffalo and the interception that was wrenched away from Cook. So the Bills' defense played extremely well in the second half, and it was too little too late after 5 turnovers. So, kudos to Sean Payton for the play calls he had tonight. He called a masterful game offensively for Bo Nix. Bo Nix completed 56% of his passes. Josh Allen had his worst performances in the playoffs we can remember, and he completed 64% of his passes. Sean Payton is making some chicken salad offensively for the Broncos. The running game was non-existent. They rushed for 70 yards with 3 different players carrying the football. The Bills' second half clampdown is going to have to be addressed. Bo Nix showed some vulnerability to pressure that the Bills put on him, and you can bet that other teams are going to see that.
It was interesting the way that the Broncos attacked Buffalo on offense when Bo Nix was in the game and driving. The Broncos offense isn't known as an offense who's super good at passing the football or running the football, average at both of those things. They decide to pass more than run. And in passing, they get 279 passing yards. Buffalo's defense goes into this game as the best pass defense in the NFL, allowing just 156 passing yards per game. The Broncos go 279. That's 120 more than what Buffalo usually allows. The Broncos were hitting on receivers throughout the game, finding open zones within Buffalo's defense, and that's really what allowed the Denver Broncos to drive down the field and score. The Broncos go into this game with just the 11th best passing offense and really turned it up to another level against Buffalo's defense.
Yeah, they did. They played extremely well. This is the pass on the backside when Savage had to come in for the rep because they had an injury, and Bo Nix and Sean Payton had a plan that really worked. Bo Nix's athleticism really gave them the edge that they could really throw the football because they had some confidence that he could break, contain, and extend some plays. And they hurt the Bills with some of those plays as well. The running game kept them active as well. But I know, you just know the Bills are sitting there thinking, we feel like we are the way better team. A way better team. The early momentum breaker for the Bills was the fumble by Cook. The Bills were running down. They were going to go up. They were going to get points and either go up 10-3 or 14-3 with another touchdown. And James Cook comes down inside the 30 or right at the 30, coughs the ball up, gets hit by a vicious hit, no question. But the ball comes loose, and then the Bills lose complete momentum for the rest of the first half, and the Broncos go on to score 13 more points. They go on to score. They go on to score more points in the first half. And
they had that offensive line touchdown off of that Cook fumble.
So the Bills are thinking, they just didn't play well. And the Denver Broncos will take some credit for that, no question. They've got a really good defense and a very good home environment. But Buffalo's got to be looking at themselves going, what happened? I'm not going to buy any of the argument about the altitude. I don't think that was a factor. You saw some guys. Most notably, I believe Cam Lewis had to go in and get an IV right before halftime. But that's a game that these players are gonna think about for a long time this offseason.
All right, Taron Johnson is in the locker room, so let's hear what he had to say.
27-23 with about 4 minutes left. I'm sure that's an opportunity that you guys would relish to not be able to get the stop you needed in that situation. How tough is that to stomach right now?
I mean, it's tough. It's just hard because we've been in this situation before, so it's hard. Just do our best to keep our heads up.
It's always emotional when the season comes to a close. You guys have had some really tough ones at the end. Does this one seem like it's hitting harder than some of the others?
I mean, because I'm in the moment, I would say yes. You know what I'm saying? Especially because of how it ended, too. I just didn't agree with the refs taking control of the game like that and bang plays to me, So that was tough. Just part of the game.
Josh said he feels like he let all of you guys down today. What would your response to him be?
I mean, he's the reasons why we're here. You know what I'm saying? So everything that he's done throughout the season, throughout these playoffs, has helped us win games. You know what I'm saying? So he's still, to me, the greatest quarterback in the NFL. And it's a tough one. We all have tough ones. You know what I'm saying? So just bounce back next year.
Thanks, team.
All right, that was Bills defensive back Taron Johnson saying that he didn't like how the refs started to take control of the game during overtime. How do you balance what the refs call in normal regulation versus overtime? You really didn't see pass interference calls in the beginning of the game in regulation time, and then once we hit overtime, the flags start to be thrown.
Yeah, as long as they're calling it consistently, and if you have to go back and look at every single play to see if it was called a little bit differently, a little closer, a little looser, whatever it was in the overtime. Bo Nix threw this ball as a rainbow. He's hoping for this to happen. The more air you put under it, the more desperate the receiver and the DB come with, and the official got involved. And this is always where you sit if you lose a game like this, because when you get into these games, and the Bills have been there for 6 or 7 years, right? You get late in these games, and every single play, if it goes one way or the other, could be the difference in the game. And that's why every play is scrutinized so much. The officials will never get it all right. And when it comes down to the end, when they make a call or a couple of calls like this that tilt the table in favor of one team, it's always going to feel like that. Every close game comes down to every single play, the next play. That's the way it always is, and that's why these games are so hard, and that's why the officials are never, nobody's ever applauding the officials. They had a tough job, and you can argue until, next season about which is what probably people will do. You'll argue about the next season about these calls. Well, we've done it before with calls in the postseason. Bills fans have always had this. I've done it. We're right back there. And but on this one, this is a game that the Bills spent the entire time trying to dig themselves out of a hole. They did it for a hot minute. But Denver, they're the 1 seed for a reason. I don't know, easy schedule, whatever you take. They won a lot of games this year. They're used to winning games, and they have a knack for it. And they've got a really savvy head coach who gives his players the best chance. Sean Payton is a really good head coach and a really gifted play caller, and you can see it tonight.
Sean Payton and Sean McDermott have faced off several times, whether they've been head coaches or coordinators, and Payton owns that series 9-7. The Bills also 1-8 against the number 1 seed in the playoffs since 1975. Sean McDermott is now on the podium. Let's hear what he had to say about this tough loss.
Not the result we wanted. I thought the guys played hard, and we had some chances at the end of the game to win it. Didn't fall our way, but I'm extremely proud of how hard the guys played. We had some guys go down again, and some other guys stepped in and gave it all they had. So tough way to end the season. But I'm proud of the guys. I really am proud of them. Time's yours.
Josh came in and he was visibly in tears. We've never seen him like that, at least out here. Just how distraught was this loss for everybody in there?
Yeah, well, you get a chance. You're coming on the road 2 weeks in a row, and the guys fought their butts off, man. And they know what they put out there in terms of the commitment, the effort, the toughness, the grit. What more could you ask for? Opportunities to win the game. We had a few of them, and at the end of the day, they didn't work out. And that's hard. You go into this, and you put a lot into it all season long, including this week. And that's why you play the game, though, at the same time. And these guys will learn. You learn some lessons from this game, and sometimes hard lessons.
Can you take us into that sequence under Brandon Cooks? What ended up being the interception, the timeout, and what you were told?
Yeah, so obviously I don't have the power to challenge. Right, we're in overtime, so the flag is not an option to throw it down. So I called a timeout to try and get the process to slow down, because it seemed like the process was not slowing down. It was a rather rapid unfolding of the review, if there was a review, and so I called a timeout to try and slow it down. It would seem logical to me. It would seem logical to me that it make a lot of sense that the head official would walk over and want to go and take a look at it just to make sure that everybody from here who is in the stadium to there are on the same page. That's too big of a play, in my estimation, too big of a play, in a play that decided the game potentially as well, to not even slow it down. And that's why I had to call the timeout. It's not what I wanted to do, but I had to do it in order to make sure that I understood what was going on and that they did take a look at it. And it's hard for me to, and I've had a chance to look at it, it's hard for me to understand why it was ruled the way it was ruled. And if it is ruled that way, then why wasn't it slowed down? Just to make sure that we have this right. That would have made a lot of sense to me, to make sure that we have this thing right, because that's a pivotal play in the game. We have the ball at the 20, maybe kicking a game-winning field goal right there. So I'll just leave it at that. But I'm saying it because I'm standing up for Buffalo, damn it. I'm standing up for us. Because what went on is not how it should go down, in my estimation. That play, these guys spent 3 hours out there playing football, pouring their guts out, to not even say, hey, let's just slow this thing down. That's why I'm bothered.
In your eyes, was the catch down by contact?
In my eyes it was, yes. In my eyes it was. But even if it wasn't, okay, let's just say that, and I'm being objective. Even if it wasn't, the players are owed, to me, hey, let's stop it, let's slow it down, let's put the head referee and give him a chance to look at the monitor, just to make sure. Once
you called the timeout and you were able to have discussion, had their minds already been made up, or was there
Yeah, well, when I called the timeout, I said, hey, I asked Brad Allen on our sideline, who was assisting us on our sideline. I said, hey, can you get Carl over here? And Carl came over. And those guys were great. They were great. And I said, hey, what did you see? And then somebody said, hey, New York has confirmed. New York has confirmed. And from that point, it was a moot point. We were moving on. Had I not called timeout, they were just moving on, it appeared. Now, the process that was going on before I called timeout, I can't tell you what that was, in all fairness right there. So when I finally got communication was when I called the timeout, and then we went from there. So, and this is not about, hey, we lost, so, it's not about that at all. You play the game, and you play it fair and square. I just, again, wish, I just, for the sake of the players and all the time and energy that was spent, 3 hours, 70-plus minutes of a game, that was a pivotal play. That's all I'm saying.
I know a million plays in this game, but the end of the first half, why the decision with no timeouts in 16 seconds to try to do something rather than just kneel it down or hand it off?
Yeah, I thought about it. Wanted to see if we could get just take one play and see if we could get a little bit of a chunk, towards the sideline. If it's not there, let's throw it out of bounds. Wanted to see if we could get a little bit of a chunk and maybe get a field goal before half. Wanted to be aggressive, but didn't work out.
Coach Josh, when he was so emotional here, he basically put the loss on his shoulders.
Yeah, it's
what
not
would
on
you
him.
tell him that's not the case?
No, it's not on him. No, it's not on him. We had opportunities, all of us. And I'm extremely proud of him. He's a tremendous person, tremendous leader, tremendous quarterback. And, there's plays we all want back.
They made to keep you guys in it.
Yeah, again, in the second half, I thought first half, we didn't play as well as we could have. Second half, Bobby and the staff made some adjustments. Players stepped up, seemed to understand the adjustments, and we shut them down pretty good. And, that last exchange of the OT there, they got in a spot where, they got a good field goal kicker who can hit from, 58, 60 plus. So it's just, we were just trying to, knock them back if we could. So we ended up playing man or zero quite a bit, and that's what led to some of the DPIs there.
What happened on the Dane Jackson play, the Marvin Mims touchdown?
Yeah, just man-to-man situation there, and they made a play.
Sean, injuries all year have just been so hard for you. But that play, you lose Trey for the one play. You lost Cam Lewis, and they go right at Savage. I mean, it's just, you can't make this shit up. I mean, it's just, right?
Well, it's partly on them. Give them credit for attacking where there was somebody who wasn't, the player who's normally there. But at the same time, again, I give our guys, we've been Rolodexing lineups all season long, and nobody shied away from going out there. Nobody shied away from, doing their job, trying to do their job to the best of their ability.
Sean, how do you settle the loss, but how do you feel about your team's selves, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, I mean, that's how this team was. I mean, every team takes on their own identity. Some are finesse, some are physical. This team was physical. This team was tough. This team, was next man up quite a bit of the year, and we grew from it, and they grew from it, and I think that's a remarkable thing about them. And to come here and battle like they did, even in the midst of, again, injuries right from the first play with Dorian, and I think that's I love these guys. I really do. They gave us all they had. I don't have an update. I know he was taken to the hospital. I don't have an update yet. All right. Thank you, guys.
This week's game and the proud sponsor of this year's playoffs is Northtown Automotive Companies. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it at Northtown, the official automotive dealer of the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott taking a good amount of time explaining what happened on Buffalo's drive during overtime when Josh Allen's deep shot to Brandon Cooks was intercepted by Jaquan McMillan. And McDermott walked through what usually happens on a play like that, what he thought should have unfolded. I thought it was very interesting that he said it was, hard to understand why it was ruled the way it was ruled. Sean McDermott called a timeout to make sure that they were doing their due diligence to just look at it because he thought that things were moving very quickly. The Broncos offense was already on the field. It was moving pretty quickly in terms of, did you give this a look? Did you slow it down? McDermott really wanted it to be slowed down and looked at. He said that a call came in from New York saying that it is confirmed it's an interception. McDermott did say he believed that Cooks was down by contact and said, I'm saying all this because I'm standing up for our team. I'm standing up for Buffalo. I feel like these guys deserved a little bit longer for this to be looked at. They fought this entire game to get to overtime. We're here. This is a pivotal play. This could set up a game-winning field goal, or this could set up a touchdown to win it. And ultimately, it is ruled an interception. That's how things unfold. When the Broncos go on offense, a couple big pass interference calls allow the Broncos to kick a short field goal and win it.
And with all due respect to my colleague Gene Steratore, who was in the booth with Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, that's a bad call. It was a bad call. There's no way the Cooks did. I mean, there's still shots of it. You can see it on live time. Cooks caught it and went down. Almost the first thing that touched was his knee, which means he's down by contact. He's got the ball in his stomach, and even though the defender's hands are down inside in there with the ball, it's over. The ball never touched the ground, that's for sure, and he can't pull it out after they've reached the ground, after he's down. It's either simultaneous possession or it's a reception, which is both.
Ty goes to the offense?
There's just no way to see it any other way. I mean, and it got called. This got called an interception when they came down. He wrenched it away after they reached the ground. After the ball should have been down by contact, and it wasn't. So the game goes on. The game wasn't over on that play. The Bills still had a chance to win the game by getting a turnover of their own or stopping the Broncos again, as they already had in overtime, but they didn't get that chance, or they didn't do that, and the game ultimately was won by a field goal at the other end after 50 yards in penalties on the next drive. It's a rough way to lose a game.
It is.
Rough way to lose a game.
It feels like it's been the story of Buffalo's playoff appearances as of late. It comes down to these big calls and these big plays and 13 seconds, and then you get a rule change in the playoffs. And here the Bills are back with a chance in overtime, and the rule has now changed to where both teams have a chance to possess the ball, and maybe this is a difference maker for Buffalo. They didn't have that playing against the Chiefs when the Chiefs scored in overtime during the 2021 playoffs to win it. So I think it hits home for a lot of the Bills players who have been on this team for 5+ years, and for Sean McDermott, who has been here for 9 years, and for us who have watched this team for so many years fight and battle and get to the playoffs and show that they deserve to be there, and for it to come down to a couple big plays and then for it to be picked apart by referees and by the internet now, and it leads to the game being over. Yes, Buffalo could have done more things.
Sure, I mean, it wasn't the game-losing play. It might have been the game-winning play. Had the Bills retained possession, they could have just kicked a field goal on the next play because that's how deep it was. And that's what you're left with after a game like this.
Bad taste in your mouth. Holy moly.
You have to live with it. The Bills players have to live with it. Their fans have to live with it. And the league will just roll on through the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks, and it'll be forgotten about. I will say this, one thing that was brought to my mind years ago, when Sean Payton was the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, they had an egregious pass interference call in the NFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl, and it went against him. And it was absolutely egregious. And in fact, there were rule changes. This is where we got replay, and this is where we got the sky judge, because it went against him. It was wrong. He gets a little redemption now, years and years later, on another team as a head coach, to get back and get a game where a couple of calls go his way when he needed them most. And I don't know, maybe that's for some people that balances the universe. but it doesn't feel like that here in Buffalo.
No, because it feels like in Buffalo you've been waiting for redemption for years, and redemption has not come yet. So the season ends for the Bills. They finish out the year 12-5 in the regular season, win the wild card round game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but lose to the Broncos in the divisional round. Sean McDermott said he thought this team was battle-tested, was physical, had a next-man-up mentality with all the injuries they faced all year, especially on defense. He said he was really proud of what his team did and said this loss is not on Josh Allen at all. As you look back on the team that got themselves into the divisional round and got themselves into overtime in this game without starters, with guys going down, what will you remember most about the 2025 Bills?
That's a really good question. I think it'll be the roller coaster that the season was. Their losses were bad losses, but they had some wins that were absolutely dominant. It was a real up and down year, a little inconsistent. I'll remember the fact, and it'll be, and I'll even go back to even in this game. If Ed Oliver stays healthy, if Mike Hoyt stays healthy, if Max Harrison doesn't go down, if Jordan Poyer's in the game, if some of the finger quotes others had gotten injured rather than the top players on the roster, say Josh Allen, James Cook, I would love to have seen how this team played defensively to complement the offense a little better at times. They were a middle-of-the-road defense statistically in a lot of categories. They got much, much better at the end of the season when the coaching staff came together and kind of figured out what they had. The way that Trey White came in and contributed and Jordan Poyer came in and contributed. And I think Joey Bosa surprised a lot of people by getting in 19 full games for the Buffalo Bills.
Just one.
Stayed healthy. Matt Milano contributed all season and finished up extremely well.
Jordan Poyer, too.
Jordan Poyer coming in and finishing, although he didn't get a chance to play today. I think that's what I'm going to remember about this season was the extremes and the highs and the lows and the contributions by guys who we didn't know if they had anything left in the gas tank. The fact that they went into a divisional round of the playoffs and lost 2 wide receivers the week before, had to go with 3 guys that have been playing all year and then 2 more that, had not. They pieced it together. I thought it's an outstanding job by the coaching staff. It looked to me like this team had enough talent to win this game in particular. I don't know what about the AFC Championship game, but in this game, they had enough talent to win this game and win more games than they did in the regular season by hook or, when they turned it over themselves. Josh continues to prove that the only way that you can beat this team with him at quarterback is if he helps you. And this, unfortunately, was another argument in favor of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This team was fueled on grit, on passion, on a love for the game, on a love for each other. I go back to week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens when the Bills are down 15 with just 4 minutes to play, and they score 16 unanswered points and find a way to get a victory. In week 15 against the Patriots, they're down 10 with 4 minutes to play, and they score 21 points to grab the win. In this game, they're down 13 in the third quarter and find a way to force overtime with a chance to win it. You saw this team over and over again. Backs against the wall, we're going to give it everything we have, all gas, no brakes, and we're going to find a way to win games. We're going to find a way to win without starters, and they did it over and over and over again. So I think I'm going to remember the perseverance that this group had, the resiliency that they had, because a lot of teams could look at this roster and look at all the losses and say, it's not our year, we're not going to make it to the playoffs, and Buffalo found a way to do so and win a playoff game. They're 11 wins now in 6 straight seasons. They go 12-5 this year, so they have at least 11 wins in 6 straight seasons. That ties for the 4th most in the Super Bowl era. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane continue to do a fantastic job to put a roster together and to coach guys up to be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you're going to hear a lot of, and Bills fans are going to hear a lot of this from other fan bases as they argue about where their team sits in the face of history. The Bills have put together probably the longest, most productive streak of football without having reached a Super Bowl in the modern era. It is it has got to be extremely disappointing for this club. I know that they're going to have to, they'll dig deep. They will continue to put together a playoff. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. This is going to be, as it is every year, and the people forget this. It's going to be a very, very different roster when they line up in 2026. A very different roster in the fall of 26. It always is different. Now you'll see some old friends and guys that'll be there, but it's going to be a very different team when they line up next. Because of the contract situations, because of the salary cap, because of the one-year deals, and the guys who have filled in late on the roster. That's why it's always so hard to say goodbye at this time of year for these guys in the locker room. This group of guys will never be together again.
This game giveth and this game taketh. Sean Payton, I should say, announced that Bo Nix suffered a broken bone in his ankle and is out for the season. The Broncos are going to have to move forward in the playoffs in the AFC Championship game without their quarterback. A big reason why they got to this point in the season. It'll be interesting to see how Denver puts it together without Bo Nix.
Wow.
Yeah.
They moved to the AFC Championship game without their quarterback. So this, believe me, that will reverberate through the locker rooms and the locker room of the Patriots and the Houston Texans. They will believe that if one of those two teams can get out of this, they're going to play the AFC Championship against a backup quarterback.
Denver's backup is Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, that's a huge motivating factor for this game tomorrow between the Texans and the Patriots in Foxborough. Winner gets a backup quarterback to go to the Super Bowl.
Wow, you don't see that often. That is crazy. A tough way to end the season for Buffalo. Too many missed opportunities, not enough ways to put it together, but a lot to be proud of when you look back at the 2025 campaign, from the games that Josh Allen had to the comeback victories, to the veterans who stepped up in others' absences and found a way to turn into the leaders of this group. There are a lot of games that will go down as memorable ones, some awesome comebacks, and just some awesome plays that we'll remember. We want to thank you for tuning in to Bills Postgame Live for the entirety of the 2025 season. Signing off for this year, for Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll see you all next season.